Yo, what's good? It's been on fire here, back from the video, and today we're going to be hopping into another Madden 26 defense. Today we have one of the better base coverage defenses, and we're going to show you a good way to get pressure out of it as well. I struggle to get good pass rushes this year and mix in the coverage, and this is one of the better concepts to do so. Now, if you guys watch my gameplays and watch a lot of my videos, you guys know I'm a heavy match coverage fan. And this defense will be a little bit different than that, but it'll keep some of the same concepts. So the defense that we're going to run is the nickel wide formation. This comes to us out of the Miami Dolphins defensive playbook. This is also in like Philadelphia Eagles, I know is a pretty popular one. Let me know which defensive ebook you guys would want to see, because I'm wanting to make one of those soon. And yeah, this is a good one because you have nickel over, nickel wide. We are going to be in the nickel wide though. And the play we're going to run is going to be cover 6 on the left-hand side there. Also, make sure you guys do check out my website. The link for that will be in the description. That is going to have all of my content as well as all of my ebooks. You can get a monthly membership that will unlock access to everything that is on the site. Super good deal with that. So make sure you guys go check that out and subscribe to the channel if you're new. But yeah, we're going to be running cover 6. Now, as far as our coaching adjustments go, auto flip on is okay. All of this stuff you can leave on like conservative, yada, yada, yada. Flats we'll leave on default. I may talk about situations where you want to adjust these. And I like hooks on 10 personally, so we'll go that. One thing I've kind of been trying recently is the close safety depth, but just be careful. Obviously not to get beat, but there's ways around it if you are concerned about that. So cover 6 on the left is what we are going to run. The shell that I come out in is going to be cover 4 for this. If you see the right stick, that's going to adjust the shell. I like the cover 6 shell, or the cover 4 shell, just spacing wise. And then we're going to talk about the stunts. Now, to hold and get the stunts, you're going to actually hold that X button because we want to run the cover 6. So we're going to hold it, and then the stunt that we're going to run is going to be the Texas 4-man, which is going to be at the very bottom. So all you have to do is go up on the D-pad once, hold it, and then release. So let's just call a random play here, but yeah, personnel-wise, what I have is some athletic defensive ends. So I have Bradley Chubb on the left, Jalen Phillips on the right, 2 speedy edge rushers, which is exactly what you want, some speedy guys that will be decent in the run game. But the first thing that I will usually do is, you see we have a basic look here. Now you could just snap the ball and run it, and you'll see the loop is going to come through a lot of times. Now, one thing that tends to happen is our coverage could be a little bit inconsistent. So I'll mainly be talking about the back end adjustments on what to do, but this loop will more or less stay the exact same, and it works pretty perfectly. I mean, obviously we have 2 loops. Bradley Chubb does get picked up by Tyler Guyton over there, but we do get it to work over here with Terrence Steele blocking air, which is great. As far as your match coverage goes over here with this cover 4, I'm not the biggest fan of it. It seems to be a little bit inconsistent. You see we have the soft squat over here. That does a pretty good job. And then our hook curl does a great job on CD over there. Now, coverage adjustments wise, what I kind of like to do out of this cover 6 is just to straight up shade over the top as kind of an initial base adjustment. And what this is going to do is give us a curl flat look on the left instead of a quarter flat, and a cloud flat look on the right instead of a soft squat. So those zones will no longer match. You won't have to worry about any match principles. For example, a concerning match principle could be something that's like a corner route concept with like a drag coming across, because then maybe your quarter flat takes the corner route because the outside quarter needs to take the streak. And then there would be nobody left to defend the drag besides your 3-rack hook, but your 3-rack hook is going to need to defend that curl route or whatever CD Lamb is on. So that would be your concern. The way we alleviate that is to just shade over the top immediately, and then I like to, again, put X in the hook curl because the 3-receiver hook is traditionally a match zone as well. So we put him in the hook curl by double tapping the D-pad to the right, pressing that X icon, and then going with the hook curl. So now with our coverage, we're going to go ahead and snap the football and kind of work over here. And coverage, was overall pretty good. Now, of course, our drag was kind of open, but corner route is defended pretty well. It would be a tough pass, like here. It really would, because you can click on and make a play on it, potentially. Curl flat does a good enough job on the drag there. I mean, he does complete it, but minimal gain. And again, our hook curl plays really well over here. This is defended very effectively by our cloud flat. So that's one way we can do it. And if you want to set your zone drops to a constant number, 10 yards may not be bad for this as well. Now, let's say you want to play them at different depths. That's where your zone drops can come in handy. And we didn't get pressure there. The thing with this loop blitz is you may not get pressure every single time. And I know I'm talking a lot, so bear with me. But let's say we wanted our hook, our curl, or our flats to play a little bit shorter and our curl flats to play a little bit deeper. This is a situation where we could set like curl flats at 20 yards and flats to about 10 or 5 or whatever you want. Now, I wouldn't necessarily do this, but like it depends on the down and distance and how you're playing. But this would be a solid adjustment for something like this. Again, if I'm getting torched with corner routes from our boy CD, whatever the case may be, then this could be something that helps. And there you see the loop get in again. So that could be one thing we could do. Now, let's say I want to play cloud flats. What you could do is actually shade underneath, shade over the top. That's going to get you 2 cloud flats, and now they're both going to play about that 10-yard depth, which would be a little bit better for us. Now, one thing, if you press, it's going to move the safeties back. Keep that in mind, but that's honestly not the worst thing in the world. And yeah, so I usually like using this player on the cover 2 side, just because I feel like he has to be a bit more aggressive. For example, if it was a route combo like this, of course, I'm going to have to take the running back. So I'm going to take Miles Sanders. The blitz does get picked up, but the coverage is pretty decent behind it. Now, one thing that may be good against trips, and I'll try and show this against like a bunch look as well. One thing that I don't hate doing against trips is something like this, where I actually just man up kind of both of these players and play a very aggressive style of defense where, and let's say so I would press, I would shade underneath, shade over the top, get that cloud flat instead of the quarter flat, and then I would man up this outside corner on the tight end, and I would man up this player on the running back. Now, what you could also do is just man up this linebacker on the running back, and I could use the safety to get a little bit more speed, but I am going to start back so I don't give anything away. And then what I did is I put L1, our free safety, in an inside third. Now, this is going to help with defending a streak with CD Lamb or something like that. And now I really just have to worry about like crossers, or I don't really have to worry about drags as much, or I guess just like, yeah, any real underneath routes. And hopefully our pressure gets through in times where, you know, you don't have to worry about that as much, but it doesn't. Now, one thing that, even if the pressure doesn't particularly get through, and that is, of course, an aggressive style, and I would have to take the over-the-top route if needed. But it does put a lot of pressure on the inside, but it can also open up the scrambles. Just be aware of that. I like it to generally, I don't face too many people that scramble as much this year. So I do enjoy doing it, but be careful if you're facing Lamar Jackson. Maybe this isn't the best pass rush because, well, it works. It does work well. Sometimes when it doesn't work, it could hurt. Now, let's try and get kind of a different offensive look here. Now, of course, I would be inclined to mention that the run defense may not be the greatest with these particular set of adjustments, so I do just want to make that clear because the defensive line is so spread out. The run defense, of course, would take a little bit of a hit, so keep that in mind. Now, after this Cowboys offense, we don't have a great kind of bunch look. This bunch wide is the closest thing to a true bunch. Okay, I guess we'll ride with it. So let's say and we can pretend this is regular gun bunch, but of course our cover 4 is going to go to the bunch side. That is perfectly okay. Which means we're going to use this player over here. Again, I like the cover 4 shell depth. I like these safeties over here. They shouldn't get beat by a streak ever, but if of course they are, then press. Now, one thing you can do if you want to keep the safeties at the depth, and again, make sure you don't reset the play, because what happens when you reset the play is when you reset the play, and of course I can't, then the stunts reset, which I don't want, so make sure you don't like ever have to do that, ideally. But before I lost my train of thought, what we can do is called an individual adjustment, and the way you would do that is press Y, A. Let's say I wanted to press CD. I could press X down on the right stick, and that's going to press him without moving the safety. Same thing over here. Could do that with all 3 players, which is kind of just a cool thing that we can do. So again, I'm going to just shade over the top for now, and then I'm going to put A in the hook curl zone, which it will help with those vertical streaks. And yeah, we can kind of play the thing. We'll just show it like against the stock kind of Z spot look. We get the pressure solid, corner routes defended well with our outside quarter combination, and overall it's pretty decent coverage, just stock. Now again, one thing we can do against bunch is go with that kind of man coverage look that we did earlier. So I could put L1 in an inside third. I'll keep A in the vert hook. Let's say I wanted to press, I could shade over the top, and then I can man up these players. Now, one adjustment I kind of like to do is this little reverse man coverage, and this helps to defend quick flats, quick wheel routes, things like this. So I actually man up the outside corner on the left onto the halfback, and then I man up the free safety onto the X wide receiver. And you'll see a lot of pro players go with adjustments like that to defend wheels and streaks, and it helps to defend like posts with CD too. Obviously streaks are defended, drags, it helps with that because he's starting inside. So kind of a valuable adjustment. And then we'll snap. I gotta watch like obviously drag routes and things like that. Now CD actually destroyed him. Maybe it's not as good as it once was, but it is also CD Lamb against Minka. I mean, Minka should have played that a little better, but he is more of a zone safety. So let's say we want to run it again, and you could of course keep your off coverage. Again, just a solid adjustment. So we could snap it, boom, lurk over. Again, the corner out's kind of open, but it would be pretty difficult to make that pass. Now, another thing we could do, let's say we want to keep the match, that I'll kind of do out of cover 6, is go with this adjustment where I put L1 in a deep half and I put B in a cloud flat. I would definitely press if you're playing like this. We could still go with like the vert hook or the hook curl, but this is kind of a cool adjustment, and I like it against those corner out concepts because you keep the match, but then you go with the other thing. Now again, there's a big hole in the middle of our defense, and if I did that, I would set my zone drops probably to about 20 yards for the cloud flats. So what you could do is, like, let's say our cloud flats are on 20, and I'll adjust this, and this will be the last kind of defensive setup, but our pressure is getting through pretty well consistently. I haven't necessarily been talking about it, but let's say we want to set our flats to about 25 yards. Come out in the stunt, and there's a few other stunts. The Tempe one's definitely not bad. El Paso, not bad. Texas, most consistent for me. But, so we're going to come out with our flats on 20. Now, if I do that, of course, what I want to do is not have a cloud flat out here because that's going to be not great. So what I could do is go curl flat, and I could cover 3 cloud like this. So I could put this linebacker in a curl flat, I could put X in an outside third, and then our free safety in an inside third. And then, of course, I'm going to user him. This puts a lot of pressure on your user in the middle of the field, but this could be a good adjustment if you're facing like just kind of basic concepts over here, like the post. And then there's like one route that you kind of have to worry about. Obviously, CD will end up having like a window here, but it's kind of a difficult pass. So I would user him, and then your coverage would be good. So that's one kind of aggressive style. I call that like cover 4 cloud. I don't know if that's the actual name, but that's kind of what I call it because, and we didn't even get a true shed or a true loop in there, but we get the true shed that worked. And you see the corner out, I'm sure was covered over there. So again, I cloud flat B, I deep half L1. That is a necessary adjustment. And then I outside third X, inside third Y, and curl flat X. That's one way to do it. I'll show you guys another way to do it as well. So there we do get the loop. Of course, that would be a situation where there is going to be a player open. If they can figure it out that your user is the only one defending the middle of the field, it could be hard because they could just throw CD on a drag, throw B on that hitch, and you would be cooked. So it is aggressive, but it's good to like mix in. The other way you could do it is go back to our man coverage kind of look. So I could kind of play like this. I could leave the deep half, or I could go inside third if I man up those two players. Or, of course, I could just man up the safety on him, leave an extra vert hook or hook curl over here, or get an extra curl flat to maybe take care of like a crosser or a backside drag. Because if they realistically do something like this, which honestly is a good setup. Let's reset. Now flipping would be annoying as hell. I'll preface. Okay, so let's say they drag. I mean, this would be a difficult setup for us to stop. They drag Ferguson, and that's where having the curl flat would help, because if he's in like an inside third, then I have to follow the drag, and then the spot route would be wide open. So him being in like, even a hook curl does help against the drag. It's not going to be great, but this would obviously be definitely beneficial because I can follow drag and kind of come back here. Obviously, you're relying on your man coverage there. And again, a lot of pressure there. People are going to probably back up, which just makes any throw more difficult. But those are just a few ideas with coverage. If you guys have any better ideas, drop them in the comments. Let me know. And I would, of course, be okay trying them out. And even you guys could try out the ones you see in the comments. But if you guys did enjoy, want more defenses, hit that like, subscribe to the channel down below, and peace. I'm out of here.